Okay.
Some of that, is that plaster or what is that on the wall?
I'm looking
It's
at that.
totally buckling out.
That is not good. That is not good. Uh-oh. So the first thing we wanted to see is yellow wires, which would indicate potentially Romex. And I see a bunch of yellow wires, including some right here by my foot.
Oh, yeah.
And this says, made in USA. That's good. Aha! Romex.
Awesome.
So that's good. This is interesting.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
This is an indoor fogger. So somebody either was having roaches or somebody was having fleas, and they set the tenant probably set the, and they had dogs. I understand that in the prior tenant in that space, so it's probably fleas.
Yeah,
okay, there's been a fire here. Do you see the discolored wood?
Yeah.
In the back? That's not necessarily a problem, but I would probably have a structural engineer.
Right.
If I'm going to have one under the house, you know, looking at the foundation, I would have him just stick his head up here in the attic. Now, I see where all right, this is a good sign. So this is actually better than conventional 4x8 oriented strand board decking, or OSB. That's the cheap stuff. It's better than plywood. This is actual, like, real decking. And I can see the roof looks new. I mean, the roof looks 3 or 4 years old. It's a 30-year shingle. I can tell that just from the ground. And it looks like the roofer, when he came in, replaced some bad decking. And you can also see where they enhanced some of the 2x4s. So apparently those were charred or had been damaged over there. I'm thinking maybe that's the kitchen, and there was a kitchen fire and it kind of spread forward back in the day. And you can't fix stupid. You know, somebody can, I had a kitchen fire where somebody was literally frying a hot dog. You ever heard of that?
Oh, wow.
I hadn't either. They took a frozen hot dog, they grease boiling on the oven, they took two frozen hot dogs and threw it in the grease, and what do you think happened? The grease blew up, had a kitchen fire. So that doesn't, particularly with the Romex wiring, that doesn't mean there's an concern about electrical or whatever.
Can you require
it's just
your
something that you just see and you got to ask the questions. You know, I'd have a structural engineer come by and take a look, make sure all the 2x4s are supporting the roof. It's a pretty high-pitched roof. This is the problem. You see this right here?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the separation between this apartment that we just looked at and the apartment next door. And it's not up to code today. I know this because the Avatar apartment that we looked at, I had to build a 2-hour firewall between the apartments in the attic, which means that it is a retardant for a fire, so it won't spread any faster than 2 hours from one apartment to the next in the attic. For this to, and it's not a huge deal, but it's still probably $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000. You would need to continue those framing members up to the top of the roof, and you'd need to have a double layer of fire retardant insulation and caulking to create a 2-hour rating. And that should have been done when the renovation was done. Somebody cut some corners, or anyway, I would do it. And it also creates an opportunity for you to have an issue. There's just one turbine vent. So if you continue that, and I got to find where the intake is, you got to have both inflow and outflow, and all I see is outflow right now. So we're going to have to look and see. You want to have a way the air can draw in. That's actually what those aluminum soffits were for.
Yeah.
They're drawing through those soffits. So that's your inflow, and that's your outflow, but there's only one of them. So if you build this firewall up to the roof, you've also got to cut in there's probably another $800. You got to make a penetration in your roof and put in another turbine or another outflow for this side, because you'll be blocking off the outflow from this side of the apartment if you build that wall up to the top.
Right.
So not great news up here in the attic. There's been a fire. We did find Romex, which is what we were most excited to see. I think all this trash needs to be.
It's a bunch of junk.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's not easy. You got to trudge it through a perfectly clean apartment, you know. But I would still, if I lived here, first thing I would do before I moved my wife's furniture in, because then I'd have to be sleeping in that mud room. That's where she'd make me sleep. If I had her sofa and I'm throwing all this stuff down and carrying it through the apartment, but I would clean it out. I'm not saying it's a fire hazard, but it's not doing any good.
Right.
Now, insulation. You should have an R value of at least 31, R31 in the attic, and this is blow-in insulation. It's not great. You have three kinds of insulation, but in the attic, just basically blow-in insulation, which is a machine that sucks, you know, it's almost like a confetti machine that when Alabama wins the national championship, which probably will never happen again with the transfer portal crap. But anyway, NIL. But this looks like it's under, you know, it doesn't look thick enough, undersized. So if I owned it, I would get bats, which are roll-in insulation, and I would literally fit them between the rafters, and I would leave the blow-in insulation. In my personal house, I have probably a R60 in the attic, and that saves you money over the years. You know, in the primarily in the summer times, keeping your air conditioning in the house below. So I would say inadequate insulation. You're going to probably look at $2,500 to put, you know, the bats in here. You could do it yourself though. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you can buy them, and you can easily do it yourself and save you half of that. But it's $1,000 or so to do both sides. It'll you really save the power bills though. And clean up this crap that's in here and get a structural engineer up here to figure out, A, what is that damn thing right there? And B, okay, we see there was a fire, we see some new wood that was put in there. Is it enough? I mean, are you seeing any deflection in any of these 2x4s? I can tell these are this was done recently because these are not, a 2x4 back in the day was a real 2x4. It was like 2 inches and a quarter by like 4 inches and a quarter, and a 2x4 now is like 1 inch and 7/8 by, you know, that's your 2 inches by maybe 3 inches and some fraction. So I can tell this was done fairly recently. But all in all, this is good. I mean, I would say this is about a wash. There's good and there's bad. I don't see anything other. The biggest expense potentially is going to be firewall.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the insulation, but it'll pay you dividends over time if you live here. Your tenants will move a lot less frequently if they're having lower power bills than if they have higher power bills. So I would go ahead and spend the $1,000 to $2,000, $2,800 or so if you're going to have a third party do it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's nice that you have parking down here for me. This plastic is actually called a vapor barrier.
Gotcha.
And it is designed to prevent moisture and vapor from coming up from the wet ground and creating like a fungus or a problem, an issue in the wood itself. It can literally decay the wood, accelerate the demise of the building. So this is good to see. Now, let me tell you, there are wires down on the ground, and I'm not concerned about it because they're cable wires. The electrical wires that are here are all like strung up against the crawl space, or against the floor joist, so I think we're okay. There are some places where we're going to have to flatten out, which is going to be easier for you to do than me. But so far, I don't smell moisture. It's dry as can be under here. It really looks good. This is an 80-year-old building. And so I want to get a little further around. What I'm looking for are immediate drainage problems, moisture problems. I'm looking for termites, which if termites have access to water, they can become a real problem. If the space is dry, then typically termites, subterranean termites, this is what we have in this part of the southeast, they have to have a channel connecting them from the ground to the wood that they're feeding on. So typically you can look at a column or a brick member like that and you can see a channel of mud going from the ground up to touch the wood. That's where you know you got a problem. And this is as clean as, this is really good. But let's get a little further along. There's been some plumbing work that's been here, and they've replaced cast iron with PVC. PVC is fine. When it was initially pushed in the 1980s or maybe even late 70s, it was rumored to have like a 50-year lifespan. There may be a date on that, I don't see it, but I don't think this is 50-year-old PVC. But even if it is, in this crawl space, it's really easy to get to it. It's easy to replace. And if there was a leak or a crack or a problem, we'd be seeing the same signs of moisture, particularly in a low area like this. That's where you can really look, and that's just bone dry. So far, so good. I don't really know what this is, this yellow-like substance. And here's a piece of it right here. I don't think it's got asbestos in it, but I would send this off. There's a local lab in pretty much every town, and for 20 bucks, 25 bucks, you can send or drop off a sample of this and bag it up. But to me, it looks like blow-in insulation that's been done fairly recently with what looks like a duct system for central heat and air. When this building was initially built, it had no heating, or it had no air conditioning. It had like furnace heating, and these are central units that are hung to the bottom of the floors, and to create a more energy efficient system, they've been insulated with some kind of spray-on foam. And most of the HVAC contractors that would be, any of them watching this would be laughing at me saying, dummy, doesn't have any asbestos in it. But I bought properties that have asbestos, and it's a big ticket issue, and it's something that has to be dealt with. So that would be my, if this is the building you pick, we're going to, before you make a run at it, we're going to send this off to the lab. We're going to spend 20, 25 bucks. We're going to get them to analyze it and tell us what it is before we put your money at risk. Okay, this is a great vantage point right here. I'm gonna let you get behind. Sorry, you gotta look at my fat butt, but I'm gonna let you get close behind me.
I'm going around the right side of this. What the? What are you wearing that for?
Defense.
Defense against what?
Spider webs.
Spider webs.
Yes. What do you think? Is rats?
Maybe
be.
rodents of unusual size.
Could be. Well, where there's water, there can be rats, and and there can be rats where there's not water. But I don't see any evidence of any rat droppings or smell of any kind that would indicate we got a vermin problem in this building. I don't even see any cockroaches, which normally you'll see out here. See them scurrying around. But if you can come up parallel to me and can get a view of those brick column support. We are in a really bad subsoil area. It's called prairie gumbo. And what happens when it rains and it gets wet, it expands. When it's dry, it contracts. It just moves up and down all around. This building was built in 1948, according to the tax records. So the people that built this building had it going on. They have put columns like every 6 to 8 feet, multiple columns supporting this floor system. This is the original lumber. And look, it looks like a brand new wood. I mean, look at that lumber. There's no evidence of any termite damage. There's no evidence of any mildew or moisture damage. No, we get powdery or post-powder beetles that can cause a problem. We get carpenter bees and ants. And I look for sawdust piles. And again, there's termite channels. And none of this is here. And the color of this wood in the subfloor, being that it's 80 years old, this is great. I mean, I don't see them this good and this clean very often. I do see some original wiring. You see that black wire that's strung up over there? So not all of this is Romex. I've seen that type of wire before, and it is copper, which is good. You don't want aluminum. That was something that was really done more in the 50s. It becomes brittle after a 50-year lifespan. But this is like a nylon wrap copper wire that was kind of a new thing about that time. It's not as new or as good as Romex. It's the next best thing, but it does tell me that there's some potential electrical expense that we're going to have to rewire this particular building in places. Now, I've seen Romex. I mean, that's Romex right there. So it's a combination of good and old. I always look for frayed wires. I don't see any of that. Like, this is a wire feed right here. See this here? That is like that's a feed from the meter to a complete apartment, and it's got 220 service on it as well. And it's affixed, I mean, really well to the floor joist. It's not, where it's a problem is where the joist come loose and it's dangling down in the crawl space, and the crawl space gets wet. But I am really impressed with this building. The other thing I look for is ventilation. And look, I'm gonna turn off my light for just a second and let you see there's ventil portals about every 12 or 15 feet, which means that there's always air circulating. I mean, to me, does it smell musty to you at all?
No, it's kind of, I mean, it has a smell, but it's not a terrible one.
Well, it's more like a dirt smell.
Yeah, it kind of just smells like dirt, dust.
Yeah,
Smells
really,
dusty.
This is really good. Now, the last thing I'm going to point out is those columns are upright. In other words, typically I see these, at least 1 out of 10 in a building of this size are going to lean one way or the other because of that subsoil movement that I've talked about. And these, if I put a level on them, the bubble might like vary a little from here to here, but the important thing is to see what if they're doing what they're supposed to do. And that column, for example, is supposed to be holding up that floor joist right there. And it is doing it. It is like literally in the slap dab in the middle of it. So I don't know what that, I guess that sheet or tin or whatever that is, it is there, is designed to create like a moisture barrier. That was done 80 years ago. I mean, I've never seen that done before.
Hey, you know what? You mentioned the termites build like little dirt tunnels to get up to the wood. That could be to block the termites. Because if they crawled up the wall, they wouldn't be able to really get to the wood.
You may be right, but I don't know that was done in the maybe it was in the 1940s or 50s.
Pretty smart for the 40s.
Yeah, but I mean, just that is a really clean wiring job. The plumbing looks great. I don't see any water anywhere.
Yeah, super dry.
Ventilation is good. Wood looks great. Structure looks great. This would be I'd be interested in buying this building if I were you guys. So, now we got to figure out how to get out of here.
Okay, how do we get out?
Well, it depends on whether or not you want me to lead and you follow in case we encounter any rats or any other thing. I can be like your guinea pig.
Yeah, we can do that.
So, all right, just don't fill my fat butt.
Whoa, where'd the light go? Hey, your mask is glowing.
Oh, is it really? Is this a Halloween mask, I wonder? All right, I can't figure out where the damn button is. Oh, are you filming still?
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to edit that out. I'll make the comment when they get closer.
Okay.
I want your lovely wife to wonder what the heck's going on when I come out. Hey. He's behind me. He's still with us. Hey, let me stop you and show you. You still filming?
Uh-huh.
Good. Let me show you something that I just noticed. This shovel has been here since the building was built. And the reason this means something to me is it's got a wooden handle. It's on the ground. It's literally touching the ground, which would mean if there were termites here, that would be a prime target for them. And look at how solid that wood is. Uh-oh. What is that? It smells like synthetic pot.
It's definitely weed. Who stashed their weed down here?
That's a funny. And that is not a plant. I swear, I just smelled something when I grabbed that handle just a minute ago. Jazz, look at this. Is that yours?
Yeah, it's definitely Jazz's.
Okay, we didn't find any skeletons down here either, so it's good. But this was, up till now, this was a pretty good crawl space inspection. All right, what do we got here?
I think this one's dead. Yeah, it's dead. All right, well.
All right, the good news is this is higher floor to ground to floor space, so we got to bend over, but we don't have to crawl the whole way. It does look like it gets narrower.
All right.
The bad news is this is just full of stuff, so we're not going to be able to get a real good look at some things, but looks like the tenants have been using this. There's a mattress and storage.
Goodness. water heaters.
2 water heaters, which is, you know, not great. That's insulated, but the rest of the water heater is not in a insulating jacket, so that's not very energy efficient. It looks like it's been rewired with Romex. I see the gray Romex style wiring.
I see a big spider on that web on the water heater.
Yeah, I see. That's why you see all that. That's why this. You know, you're kidding me about this mask, but I don't want them to get in my eyes. I see a spot of water right here. I'm not sure what that is.
From the drip tray?
Well, the pans are completely dry, and this looks like a relatively new water heater. And I see water on the other side. It looks like maybe it's leaching from underneath.
I do see that water. Yeah, it's like a little stream.
You know, maybe the bottom of the water heater is leaching and the pan is not catching it. We'll have to go around and see what we see. Let me get my... Now, so my friend's unit is on this side. So we're going to have to get to that space eventually to put this rat poison down for him. And I'm going to figure out where to put it after we go around this.
Do you still have that tiny flashlight on you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, my headlamp went.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
All right. That's why we always have a backup.
Yep.
And just for your edification, mine is bigger than yours, so.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
We don't need to measure.
Okay, we got an issue. I mean, right off the bat, there is a problem.
Oh, is that moisture?
I don't want to step down in that. I'm going to tell you what it is as soon as we get around here. And there are spider webs galore, so let me kind of try to knock them down.
Goodness. I see that. Oh, is that a pipe?
Yes, and it's an issue.
Ooh. And I see I think it's this right up here that I'm trying to where that rubber gasket is connecting the PVC to that metal.
That's a sanitary sewer line, and it's leaking right there.
Oh, wow.
That is sewage, so we're not going to stay in here very long.
Does it smell? I can't smell it from here.
It doesn't smell that bad, but that's definitely a sanitary sewer line.
Well, the spiders seem to love it.
It's been, you know, it's been partially replaced. Whether you see that white is PVC, this is cast iron, so they've obviously been addressing the problem piecemeal. But that's an issue, and that is sewage. So I'm going to walk away from it. You following me?
Yeah, well, I'm about to get onto this pipe, I guess.
Okay.
Golly, at the spider webs. Golly.
Here, if you see a place where I need to knock them down with something.
I'm just going to try to stay low.
So this is interesting. I've never seen one of these before. You remember when we were in that other attic?
Uh-huh.
And you saw that?
I see.
This apparently is like a coal ash incinerator where you've got, apparently in the early years, I think this building was circa 1925. And apparently its heat was, back in the day, was coal grates where you would like bring the coal in and you'd have a coal fire, and this has got to be like a funnel or a chute where the coal ash would go. There's a big spider web. There's a bunch of them. You see all this stuff?
I see, yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so much.
I think if I can get to it without... Yep, look at this.
All the ash?
You see this? It's probably been
wow.
50 or 60 years since that fire burned that coal.
Oh, it's coming down. They must have just used the bathroom.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, look at it, yes. Well, I'm going to call my buddy and tell him to flush his commode or run his sink here in a minute, and we'll see if it's coming from him, but I bet you it is. But we need to put, so his kitchen is right above here.
Uh-huh.
So we need to put this, I think this rat trap could go pretty much anywhere up in here. I don't like this wet. I mean, we haven't had rain in
it's dark soil.
weeks, so there's obviously, and that's the kind of mildew and stuff that I don't like seeing. I'm not impressed with this building. Now this is a wall-hung packaged gas heat central air conditioning unit, and it's done correctly. It's off the ground. It's hung with metal straps. I don't know how old it is. It's probably pretty old, but they did it right. So this is the heating system for my buddy's unit. And what we'll do, or what I'll do, or what I'll have my buddy Mac do, is come check that window in about a week and see, A, if the problem has been helped, and B, if they've taken all of the rat poison, we're going to have to come back and put more poison in there, because he's got multiple rats. It's not just 1 or 2 rats, it's a colony of rats.
And you think they just get in from all of these little windows? And
I don't know how they get in. I mean, they can flatten themselves. There's a hole right there, though. I mean, that's how they're getting in right there.
oh,
I'm looking outside, see? So
yep,
that's pretty
I see
easy.
that.
All right, there's another one of those coal ash, like depositories or chute or whatever you want to call it. I've just never seen that before. All right, it's Romex wiring, so that's good. Original plumbing, mostly, so that's not bad. Where it's not original, it's been pieced together with PVC, and they've just done a half-ass, like, we're only going to fix what we got to fix. So I'm not impressed with this building so far. I don't like seeing gas fittings that are wrapped with duct tape. That's not a good sign.
Does this light bulb work?
So,
Nope.
well, it might. Oh, well, that's nothing. That's not that's an old fluorescent there.
Hey, look at that. What'd you?
There you go. So let's.
Well, this doesn't do anything apparently.
All right, so United Heating and Air is a reputable company. That's whose tag is on this. So that's a good sign. It's not some jackleg. Turn it off. You remember how clean the wood looked in the other building?
Yeah.
There's no moisture barrier. You see the discoloration on the ground. There's
Right.
obviously a moisture problem that's existing in the back, but I'm not saying it looks terrible, but it doesn't look great.
I am too tall for all
And
this.
see, look at this. I mean,
Oh,
so
yeah.
where you get the decaying wood. Now, this is still doing what it's supposed to do, but it's just not great. It's just not I would immediately put in I'd solve the plumbing leak and immediately put in, oh, look at this. I hadn't noticed this. You see that? I'm not getting in there because it's sewer, but you see that wood right there? It's completely rotten.
Oh, I do.
And the
see that.
moisture has caused that pylon to swell, and it shed that plaster laving that's
see.
on the outside of it.
Yeah.
That's a real problem.
And what's this coming out of the ground? Is that a pipe that's like broken or just not in use anymore?
That's a water supply line.
Look at, see that? It's shattered cast iron.
Yeah. We got to walk through here. You see this? Can you see this spider web?
I see. It's massive.
I'm going to try to knock it down before I take my mask
Oh,
off.
it's everywhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's bad. And that's literally, I don't want that stuff getting on my face. It freaks
neither do I. Yeah, freaks me out too.
All right, here's another one of those package units that's hung. A lot of spider webs on it too. I don't know if this is United Heating and Air or not, but that's a good, yep, same company. So I know that was done right. That was done correctly. You know, I don't see as much floor joist deterioration as I would expect to see. Oh, look here. So somebody came in and bolstered up. You see the date on that?
I do. 11/19/02.
1902. So there was obviously a renovation. Maybe
That was right after I was born. That was like the month after I was born.
Wow, you're such a baby.
Wait, hold on. No, 11/19/02. That was the day before I was born.
Wow.
That was the day before I was born.
That is wild.
I was the 20th.
Well, that's the new wood that was put in here. Apparently they
Wow.
put it to shore up some of the existing wood that might have had some kind of damage, or maybe it was just insufficient.
Oh, I see what you mean now. This is another one of those.
Yeah, so they call that scabbing on to an existing like member that's here.
Yeah.
Either that was insufficient to hold some kind of weight that they had, or it was starting, in some places it was deteriorating, and so they ran a new.
To strengthen it. Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Some of that, is that plaster or what is that on the wall?
I'm looking
It's
at that.
totally buckling out.
That is not good. That is not good. I'm seeing that.
Now, is that an imminent threat to the structure of the building?
I can't answer that, but that's a problem. Let me go look at this. Let's look at this a little closer. All right, do you remember the last floor foundation that we were in? And I was commenting that every 12, 8 to 10 to 12 feet, there was a pylon supporting the weight of the floor.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, how many do you see right here?
I would say none except for this
None.
thing.
just the exterior wall, which
Yeah.
on that exterior wall we were looking at, every 6 to 8 feet, there was a pylon in the wall itself,
Right.
brick wall, but then as you came into the interior space, multiple pylons every 8, this is not.
So that wall is taking all the load.
So this wall is literally buckling because all of the load of the building is put on, this is an issue.
Look at that salamander. Oops,
So
sorry.
I think we need to stop filming, and I'm gonna have to call my buddy, and I'm gonna have to, since I don't own the building, I don't know the management company, I'm gonna encourage that he be the person to get somebody to take a look at this. Now, it may not be a huge corrective process. I've seen people use literally like car jacks, and they literally level off the ground, put concrete in it so it's sitting on concrete and not on dirt, and they run the jack up to, and jacks will be plural, to support certain strategic parts of the building. There's just no support for this entire building, and that is
Makes me nervous being under here.
so like, an unusually wet month of 8 or 9 inches of rain, which we can have in January or February, could saturate that entire wall and create extra weight with the moisture in the wall. I mean, that is just not. That's your support column right there, and it's broken down.
I see it, yeah.
So we need to stop filming in just a second, and let's go outside and look around and see if we can see any evidence on the outside of what this is doing. But to your investment strategy, this is a no-go.
Oh, yeah.
So had you spent 15 grand to be told that this is a no-go by somebody, you'd be out that 15 grand because you would not buy this building.
So basically, by us coming up under here and seeing what there is to see, we're saving 15 grand.
That in what I call pre-due diligence, due diligence. So I might have just saved you guys 15 grand. Where are y'all taking me to supper tonight? Right,
Somewhere nice, I hope.
Let's get out of here. We don't need to look at anything else. This is a no-go.
All right, let's get out of here. I'll stay right here.
Mac, I just put the rat poison out as you requested under your kitchen, and while I was under your building, I found 2 potential issues you need to be aware of and potentially tell the management company. There's a bunch of raw sewage under the building, and I think it's coming from your unit. Whenever you flush or run water into the drains, it's like literally going into the ground. So if you were gonna pick up, I was gonna have you flush your commode and let us look, while I'm under here. But just call me back when you get a chance, man. There's an even bigger potential issue. I think it's correctable, but it's gonna take a management company response or an owner that's willing to, to get into it. And I don't want to leave this building without you being aware of it. So call me when you can, man. Appreciate it. All right, maybe he'll call me back, but let's get out of here.
All right.
Sit here smelling this stuff. Or breathing this stuff. Let's find it.
It's that thing right there, isn't it?
Okay, yes, that's it. So that's it. That's absolutely where that wall is buckling.
And so it's like right here.
So
I see it. Look at it coming in right here. Look at the angle.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. Now, what the owner may choose to do, this might be something that's evolved slowly over decades, but they could literally get a measurement like a ground to the top corset of, that siding is concrete based, it's called hardy plank, and that would have been put in relatively recently, and you would think that a contractor would have just jumped up and down if that was like that then. I mean, so it's either something that's happened, which is not good, it's happened relatively recently, or it's something that's happening so slowly over time. But so do you remember when we were shining down and I'm like, okay, look how perpendicular, how straight up and down all those. I was looking for this type of deflection and issues and problems. And so that it's a 2-story structure and there's a high gable. So it's got not just the weight of the 2-story, and this is a bump out. So it's not supported by the main floor truss system. And there's a gable up there. So it's got more weight. This is the worst place, and it may be why it's failing. It's the worst place, there's more weight bearing on that. So I'm gonna tell my buddy that he needs to have his management company come out and take a look at it. And at the very least, we can sleep well at night knowing that you're not buying this building, but they know that there's a reason why you're not buying it and what the issue might be. So,
Well, this has been very insightful, Rick.
I gotta take a shower.
Me too. All right, let's get back.
I did all the hard work.
All I do is follow you around.